What's up, War Report family? I am your host, C Dub. As we turn our attention to spring practice, we ask you, Auburn fans, what needs to happen this spring for you to consider it a success? I'm joined by Mike G and Ike Jones as we tackle that question also. Last night, there was a beatdown in Neville Arena as the Auburn men's basketball team ended a 3-game losing streak by beating the Tigers of Missouri. Can they reproduce that performance moving forward? We'll ask that question and talk about other topics in the latest edition of the Mid-Week Rapport. War Eagle, everyone. Welcome to the February 15th edition of the Mid-Week Rapport, brought to you by show sponsor auburnsports.com. Always got to show love to them for showing love to us and being a partner with us for quite some time. Shout out to JG Tate and those guys. Also, shouts out to you for hanging out with us on a Wednesday, a random Wednesday, talking some Auburn sports. We appreciate you, but we appreciate it even more if you share this content, guys, on social media and help people to find us. While you're here, let us know you're here by smashing that like button and subscribing if you haven't done so already. Listen, grab your mom's phone, all right? Grab your grandmama's phone.
Yeah.
Right? It may still flip, but grab it anyway and see if you can get on YouTube. Subscribe, all right? Help us get to 10K. We greatly appreciate it. I ask for this content that Ike be cooking up. Ike be working. Ike be working. Don't you want to find out what Ike working on? Tell him what you're working on, Ike.
Man, just a little film. You know what I'm saying? Just a little film. You know, got more Robbie Ashford film coming for you guys tomorrow. So we'll dig back into his throws from the season. If you don't know, literally going through every single throw he made last season. We went up through, I think, the end of the Penn State game. So we got a lot of throws left to go through as we get into this spring practice. I know the question is about quarterback. So we're going to look at the quarterback. Might make some people mad and go pull up all the TJ's film too and see if we can get all those throws because he's still on the team, people. Whether you like it or not, he's still a quarterback on the team, man. So, hey, members, you gotta dig in with that film right there. If you want to gift a membership to somebody, you could do that right now from the live chat. So go ahead and make somebody else a member of the War Report family. We give away stuff all the time. We're going to give away another mug. This has been a popular giveaway. We're just going to keep trucking with the mug giveaways. War Eagle Oil is the sponsor of today's giveaway. WarEagleOil.com is your place to get your motor oil and motor-related products. Hashtag get your weight up right now in the live chat, though, if you want to be able to get in on this drawing. We'll do that right around the 1 hour mark. And do we want to talk about this now? Or are we going to wait to the mid?
Yeah. You go ahead, Ike.
Yeah, do what you feel. Do what you feel.
Yeah.
Listen, if you follow us on social media, you already know what's up, man. We have had the pleasure to sit down with Coach Hugh Freeze and have a little short conversation with him. And we'll get into the snippet of that during the mid-roll. How about that? We'll just say we got the Coach Hugh Freeze, and that's going to be dropping tomorrow for you guys on the channel. So make sure that you check that out tomorrow morning.
Guys, you know, we started off, and basically this is still what we are. We're a fan channel. We've grown a lot. Media access. You know, we give expert opinions, film review, breakdown, but
I don't know how expert it is, but you know, hey,
you know, you sound a little experty.
You're an expert. You're an expert.
Break it down.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the end of the day, we're a fan channel, and you guys had the opportunity to sit down with Auburn's head football coach. Yeah. What are some of your instant thoughts from speaking with him, and what are your feelings about the program and the direction it's heading?
This dude is tired, man. He's tired. He's working. Yeah. He is working. He has not stopped working since he got to the Plains. I think he ended the interview, Ike, by saying, "Oh, gotta go recruit."
Yeah, no, he literally was leaving our interview to go talk to a recruit. He's like, he had a recruiting phone call that he had to make right then. So yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, it's just when you look at the work that he's doing and what has manifested from that with the recruiting rankings, with the portal pickups, just looking forward to more. Don't run out of juice too fast, Coach. We need you to keep the energy flowing into spring practice and post spring. So there's a lot of work to be done. Obviously, they've got a lot to evaluate. I think that he understands what he signed up for. But, my impression from him was like, man, like this guy is working as hard as anybody out here working as a head football coach right now. Man, when you get paid millions of dollars, that's what I like to see. Tireless working to perfect the craft and understanding what he has to do to catch Auburn up to what he termed as the gold standard, right, in the conference. So that was one of my biggest takeaways from it. Is just there's a lot of work to be done, and they seem up to the task.
What about you, Ike?
Yeah, I mean, similarly, I like the attitude. I think people are going to hate to hear me say this as well, because I'm bringing up all the hits of people that they don't like me to mention. But Coach Harsin had the same type of attitude of like, I don't really back down from the challenge of, and you have to kind of have that attitude. Want to be coach.
I just crumble under the pressure.
Yeah, like you have to come in here wanting smoke if you're gonna sit in that seat. And he seems like a guy. He has a different kind of quiet confidence about like the way he goes about his business. I think that he doesn't like exude this, he's like, it's almost just like this back was like, oh shucks, man, we're just gonna go out there and compete, man, and see what happens. All the while, like he's ready to like stab you like right between your third and fourth rib cage or something. Like he's just like, yeah, man, just like he just got that about him. So we'll see how it turns. If it turns the corner for the guys in the spring, but I'm very interested to see how spring practices go.
For sure, there was a missed opportunity, Caesar. We had the time that we had with them, but I wanted to take some time to bury Yahtzee. I want to be like, Coach, can we just bury Yahtzee and can we just come up with something better, like right now while we have you, right? And stop saying Yahtzee. So next time, next interview, Ike, I'm crushing Yahtzee. We're gonna have something prepared.
Watch you not get another interview for a while. Just for that.
We're gonna put a graphic up on the screen and like, these are your choices. Like A, B, C, D, E, F. Pick one, and that's what we're rolling with. So
hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, guys, definitely check out that interview as it is released tomorrow. Definitely show us some love on that. Guys, we're less than 2 weeks away from spring football.
Yeah.
Less than 2 weeks is almost upon us. So bit of a slope here, but of course we got Auburn basketball to keep our attention until then. But we're beginning to kind of talk about it, get in the flow of things. And there's a lot of moving parts. Obviously, new head coach, new coaching staff, with the exception of two assistants, new players went into the transfer portal and brought in a lot of new faces, guys. And so it's a lot to keep track of. But I'm asking you, we're going to play fill in the blank here. We're playing with you guys as well as those of you watching with us, whether live or on replay. Want to ask you, spring practice will be a success if. I'll start with you, Ike.
I think spring practice is going to be a success if we exit spring practice with some clarity around the quarterback position. Clarity. I don't want to have to go to the transfer portal, but I want someone, if it's going to be one of the guys, let it be definitive that that's your guy so that we can go full steam ahead into the fall. And if it's not, then, we need to know that immediately. And then they need to go full speed ahead into the break, going to pick up somebody from the portal.
Yeah.
But clarity around the quarterback position, I think, is what's going to make this a successful spring. And then kind of in parallel with that is for those young men in that quarterback room right now, clarity with them around where their positioning is, right? Like they should know we have a plan for you to see the field in this way, or you're not going to see the field and let that young man go figure out what the next step is for him in his collegiate career. But I think clarity around that in the quarterback room is going to be crucial, because that, in my opinion, is what's going to help make sure we have the proper leadership for the offense to do what it needs to do. Understand who the guy is, let everybody rally behind that guy, and then let's go full speed ahead into the fall trying to figure out what the offense is going to look like.
Could clarity also bring a little panic if you know your guy isn't on campus and that you may have to go into the portal?
Oh, that's a good point. It's clarity.
I mean, it could bring panic, but I think that they're prepared for that contingency, because right now, Coach Freeze has been adamant that he doesn't know if it's not as if he's going in. I think it would be more panic if you went in assuming, oh, this is going to be my guy. And then you turn the ball. Yeah. And then you're like, whoa, this is not what I thought I was getting into here with this, right? Like, going in unsure right now means that you're planning on the contingency that I need to pivot at any moment. And so I think that that's less of a panic space to be in. Or if, the guy who you thought was going to be your guy gets injured or something like that, like, then you get into panic mode, I think. But like where he's sitting right now, I think he's prepared for all contingencies, just because he isn't sold on anybody until he's had an opportunity to coach him.
Mike G, what do you say?
So I took my answer. So I'm going to pivot at the last minute here and say spring practice will be a success if Auburn comes out of it with an actual offensive identity. I think that last year, what was our identity? Now, when Cadillac took over as head coach, the identity was clear. Run the football a lot, and pass when needed. But that can't be the offensive philosophy
moving forward.
Yeah, that can't be it. That was a patchwork plan that netted us a big win against Texas A&M in the battle of the 3 and 9s or whatever we were. And you just have to figure out who you're going to be on offense. I think that fans want to know what the offense is going to look like. You've got some different type quarterbacks in this room. Robbie and Holden are not the same. TJ is not the same as Robbie, and those are the guys you have in the room right now.
Right.
So I want to see what a potential offense might look like with a Holden Garner, or a pocket passer at quarterback. What are the contingencies if you don't get a guy in the portal? Now, no, I think a lot of people are just like, hey, man, we're going to make up transcripts to get Grace McCall in here after the spring, or do whatever we need to do to get him in here. But if that doesn't happen, what is the plan?
Give his professor NIL deal.
Right. Yeah. Like, hey, we have this new major that we didn't have, like 3 weeks ago. So I think offensive identity is going to be important. These guys have talked about how they're trying to meld their systems together to create something that highlights the strengths of what Hugh Freeze has done his entire career and what Philip Montgomery is going to bring to the table. Now, before he hired Montgomery, he stressed, I've called plays my whole life, but I'm open to the idea of opening up my system to somebody who can add, something substantive to what I do, and vice versa. What does that look like? And is it going to be one of those things where, did he say Montgomery's going to call plays?
So we didn't ask him that again in our interview, but he has intimated that there's going to be periods of time that he may, step in, blah, blah, blah. So it sounds as if it's going to be primarily Philip Montgomery, but
what does that
maybe
look like?
Hey, if it's 4th down, we're going to go for it, and this is the play call I want to do, right? That's what it seems like it's going to be. Or we're in the red zone, and we need a touchdown right here. We're going to go with this particular play type of stuff. So I think it's going to be situational, maybe.
Yeah. How much does he trust Philip Montgomery in critical game situations? Does he stay hands off, or does he jump in and say, hey, we're running Cam Newton, Tuberville XYZ, right? And Philip is like, okay,
really would like to see what that play looks like.
Right. I don't know. I just made up some bull right there on the spot. But, my point is that offensive identity is going to be something that you have to have, because the players need to know what their roles are going to be. And, when you have an identity, if your identity is balance, which is what Harsin tried to achieve, but it just didn't work, right? I mean, he was balanced for like a quarter, and then we got behind, and then we started doing one or the other way too much.
Yeah.
Right. Because if I'm a receiver, and I'll stress this, this has been the issue at Auburn for years. Right. If I'm a receiver, I don't know why you come to Auburn. If I'm a top tier receiver, why do I come to Auburn? Are they going to be able to get me the ball? Now, I'm not talking about just quarterback. I'm talking about sheer opportunities to get the ball because of the way you call plays.
Yeah.
And we've got some talented receivers in that room. I'd like to see them showcase their talents. And you can do that if you know what the identity of this team is. Like, so if I'm a receiver and I know, hey, man, I'm going to get X amount of balls thrown at me, Caesar, right? It's one of those things where those old school guys like Courtney Taylor and Ben Obamanu and Devin Rosshu, they knew they had to catch their opportunities because a whole lot of them coming their way.
Yeah.
They understood the identity of the offense, and then they made plays within that, right? I think the players can accept their role if they know what it's going to be. But, man, listen, running out and blocking for 80% of the plays in today's college football is not what these kids want to do. So I hope the identity is something that, gives these guys a chance to go out there and show their talents. They're acting real excited about Rivaldo Fairweather. He ain't coming here to block.
Right.
So what are we doing on offense? How are we going to get him the ball? How is he going to be involved? I think Jarquez Hunter is going to be a dude for Hugh Freeze this year. How many other dudes are going to emerge out of this offensive identity that Auburn needs to have this? And I think coming out of the spring, you need to know what that is. You need to at least have an idea of what that is. Let me put it this way, because what we're going to see is going to be like base form stuff, right? Like,
sure.
Yeah, right. Like, 8A is going to be a bunch of like, can you execute base form stuff? But I think we'll see enough to know whether we can pass or not.
Right.
With the dudes that we have. Do we have a dude at quarterback, like Ike said? Do we have a dude at wide receiver? Who's going to be the dudes on offensive line? Because you need dudes on the offensive line. You can't just have one. If you got one dude, you got no dudes. So we need to do this thing up, man, and have an offensive identity by the end of the spring.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super interesting, to see how many, like this, we're not into the spring game yet, but like once we get to the spring game, what the snap distribution is going to be in see how many. Because, I lamented, I think, a couple of spring games that's like, man, like Holden got in for like one series and threw like 6 passes, right? Like, so you didn't really get to see. This year, he's not a true freshman coming in, right? Like, he's a redshirt freshman. He's been through a spring already. So now you've got 3 guys who have at least 1 year of experience in a spring at Auburn, even if all of them are new. I want to see all of them get an opportunity. Let them all get a quarter's worth of something, right? Or like some kind of way. I need to see an even distribution so we can evaluate as fans what the depth actually looks like for our team at quarterback.
I don't want to see Holden Garrett take third string snaps in the spring.
Yeah,
I don't want to see him take third string snaps in the spring. I want to see what this kid has, man. He can't be an afterthought this spring. And people hate when we bring it up, but TJ coming back lends some questions to how that snap distribution that Ike's talking about.
Yeah.
Because you've seen a lot of him already. Now, Hugh Freeze has not coached TJ yet. Right. But yeah, I want to see Holden get meaningful snaps this spring.
If we get a second crack at talking to Hugh Freeze, and it's after the spring game, I'm gonna definitely ask him about that kind of stuff. I'm definitely going to.
Yeah, there are going to be tons of great questions to ask after the spring.
Yeah.
So it's just, like I said, man, I think, we want to see what we've got here with some of these guys. Holden wasn't some afterthought recruit either. And for these guys who have gotten their shot to get on.
Did we lose Mike?
I think so. I thought it was me for a second. I was like, did my internet start acting up? But I think Mike's is the one that's cutting out right now. So.
Well, I'll go ahead and go. Spring practice will be a success, Ike, if we have at least four new starters on the offensive line. that's going to be a success for me.
Okay.
I want to see some of the new bodies we brought in. I want to see them assert themselves and actually be the guys. I want this coaching staff to leave spring knowing, hey, we did exactly what we needed to do in the transfer portal. We got some guys that we think can help us run this offense, do some of the things we need to do, give our QBs time to work, do the things that we're asking our QBs to do. And I think if they leave spring feeling much better about the offensive line position, I think that's a huge success that they can continue to build on. If they choose to get another offensive lineman in the second portal when it opens up, I do think that that'll be major for our offense, because again, this has been one of our issues of our offense is offensive line, right? As much as we talk about scheming around our deficiencies. Again, we need guys up front. Also, too, I would like to see a leader emerge from the linebacker position. And we got some guys back there, Ike.
Yeah,
and there's some guys we just have not had a chance to see. Eugene Asante. Is he a guy back there? Is he a potential guy? Is he an under the radar guy? Of course, you got guys like Woodyard. Granted, he came in with much hype based on how we got him. I want to see what he does in the spring. Obviously, you got your Cam Rileys, your Austin Keys, your DeMario Tolins. We got talent back there. Will a leader emerge from that position? A guy who's like a second coach on the field, who knows where everyone needs to be, who understands the defense, understands how to get everyone in position, and can play and can ball. To me, those two things, I'm going to be, because I know one of you guys are going to be focusing on QB in the offense for obvious reasons, rightfully so. But I'm paying attention to the defense as well as the linebacker position, as well as offensive line. Those are the two that if those things are shored up, I will be feeling good about spring. But thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, no, that's the linebacker position is an excellent place to talk about, because you talk about the quarterback position on offense. Most of the times your linebacker is going to be quarterbacking your defense. They're going to be the ones making sure people are getting lined up properly. And we need, to your point, someone to step up and take that role and make sure we're in the right spaces. Everybody's communicating properly. We understand what we need to do. Thought it was interesting. Another thing I think is going to be interesting is just leadership in general. Mike G and I talked about this a little bit before, but like, who's going to step up and be kind of the leader on either side of the football for this team? If you talked to guys last year, and I have talked to a few of them, Tank was really kind of that guy for the team offensively. He was kind of the vocal, try to pull everybody together, get everybody on the same page person. But if you talk to a lot of players that were former Auburn players before this, they'll say to you, it's odd he didn't have a captaincy on his chest and he was the guy everybody looked to. Right? Like, it's odd that that's the case. And it's odd that you can't say that about your quarterback. Right? Like, most times when you have a captain, you're going to want that to be your QB, the guy who's going to have the ball in his hand every single play. When that's not the case, then you probably lack a little leadership on your football team. And so it's going to be interesting to see what leaders emerge. And then, like I said, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, who are the guys that are going to make sure that, like, we talk about the tenacity of a play caller, but sometimes it comes down to, are the people on the field getting people right? One of the things I loved about that Georgia defense last year, not the one of this past season, but the season before, that historic defense, is they held each other accountable. They would, if they were missing plays or somebody made the wrong read, you'd see them getting on each other, and they understood, this guy's not just yelling at me, right? Like, the blowups on the sideline, that I think that's an interesting thing, because you see players fussing with each other on the sidelines, and sometimes it's like, oh, that's people holding each other accountable, and other times there's people call that being divisive on the sideline.
No, immature.
I think that there's time for both of those things, but I think a lot of it has to do with who is the person making the statement, and does the player who's receiving respect to that person, right? And so, like, I can take that from somebody who I respect a little bit more. But you not like, of all the people who gonna call me out, it's not gonna be you, right? Like, and that's how people's mindsets are sometimes, and that needs to be something that's answered pretty early in the spring. Who's going to emerge as the leader on both sides of the football?
That respect is earned in practice, right? It's earned in the weight room. You know,
yeah, they're earning that right now as they're getting through workouts.
Exactly.
And they're going through and decide, you know, when it's time to go put in an extra session, who's the guy out there running the extra sprints, you know, going out, you know, on the jug machine a little bit more, routes on air. Who are the people who are putting in the work right now, and who are the ones sitting in the room, you know, playing Xbox, or I don't know what the kids play these days. I ain't played video games since
it's PS5. Yeah. My brother has one. It looks ridiculous. But you're right.
I sounded real old right there in that moment, right there.
You did.
It's okay. It's all right.
We forgive you. The idea here is things get worked out in the spring, right? You got to make moves during the spring, because making moves during the fall is decidedly harder.
Right.
You know, and people make moves during the fall for, like, you know, because of injury, you know, but you don't have to want to depend on luck, man. This is the time of year where you forge your own destiny. I'll say it again. This is the time of year where you forge your own destiny, right? So if you're down on the depth chart, now's the time to make moves over the guy who may be as just resting on his talent. This is the time where you outwork people. And I think with a new coach, this is definitely the time where you outwork people.
Yeah.
So if I was on this team and I was buried on the depth chart before, new coach, new year, new me.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And this new facility that's spying on you every minute that you're in there. There's no cheating the process this spring.
Nope. There's not.
No cheating the process. The coaches, listen, I've toured that facility, and when I say they can see everything that you're doing, they know when you walk in there, they know what kind of reps you're doing. Like, there's literally no cheating the process this year.
Exactly.
So if you're working, it's gonna be seen. And I get people who want to be the silent workers, but man, show me something.
Yeah. Let them see you doing it. Like, you know, you be seen doing it, and it doesn't have to be a look at me thing, right? But you just need to get out there and do the work, man, and just make sure, announce yourself. I'm on the scene. I'm ready to work, right? Watch me work, put in work, right? And if you are going to be around me, you're going to work. That's it. I'm about that work.
Yeah.
Be about that work this spring, man. I'm telling you, the coaches are going to they're going to recognize, and they're going to highlight the guys who are about that work, because we interviewed a guy on Monday, right? Who was about that work. It was all over his face. He had the I've been camping for, like, you know, 4 days beard, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right? Like, we have been in a wilderness kind of thing. He's been putting into work. And when I'm working, I don't have time to shave, right? I got time to sit down with the war report, but that's it. Nothing else. Nothing else. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, what comes out of the spring. But I think, you know, Ike's question about, you know, what would make it a success is spot on. And obviously, I think, you know, finding an offensive identity as well is going to be something important. Part of that will be players finding themselves. Because when these guys know what they are and who they are, it's easier to know what that offensive identity is, right? When you know who you have, and you have guys who know who they are and how they fit. So, you know, get out there, young men, start working. Now is the time. No time like the present, I'm telling you. And you're not guaranteed another opportunity either. So make the most of this one. And I want to see Holden Garner get some of that this spring. I was really disappointed. Like, you know, let me put it this way. If let's just assume the incumbent, and this is not me predicting anything. Let's say assume the incumbent, and I say the incumbent because he's the guy who finished last season. Robbie Ashford is QB1, right? Holden needs to be like, there needs to be like a 2A and a 2B. But I don't want to see 2-3. I don't think anything is solid enough for us to have a 2-3 this spring. A 1-2-3. Now, you might be 1-2-3 coming out of it, but while they're in it, we need to see two guys getting pretty even, I think, second team reps at least to start, and then somebody has to separate pretty quickly. The separation has to happen pretty quickly because you can't go through the whole spring like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Let's grab some comments, guys. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Appreciate some of the super chats. Let me get to those first. Oda Smith says we have to have a QB1 coming out of spring, no less here.
You may or may not.
May or may not.
I don't know that I agree that you have to have one coming out of spring. It'd be ideal, right? Like the ideal scenario would be that, but it wouldn't be the first time that Auburn has exited spring without having a QB1 identified and still had a successful season. Would not be the first time in Auburn history that's happened. Wouldn't be the first time in college history. Let's just talk about Auburn. Auburn has gone out of the spring still in a quarterback competition or with a brand new person entering that competition that won the job in the fall and still had successful seasons. It's happened. So I don't know that it's necessary. I do think that, again, ideally, that's what you would want. Going into the fall, you know who your guy is going to be. Let him be the guy. I do not want to go back into this QB rotation thing with the 2 QB system thing. I don't want that to be part of our game.
I don't hear Freeze wants to do that either. Did Nick Marshall did he go through a spring with Auburn?
I don't remember.
Or did he come in and win the job?
Are you talking about his first year?
Yeah.
Well, he was backing up. Jeremy Johnson was backing up. Actually, I don't remember whether he went through spring because I can't remember him playing spring ball. So
I don't remember an 8A with Nick Marshall.
Yeah.
So maybe he came in after and won the job. But I remember with Cam, they named him the starter after the spring. It was just shortly after. They were like, all right, we're rolling with him.
James Barnett says no, Nick didn't go through.
Yeah. That's probably why we don't remember an 8A with him. But he won the job.
Turned out pretty good for him.
Yeah, for sure. He won the job. So they figured something out pretty quickly with him. And I just think, for these guys, we've got guys who've taken significant snaps in college football and with this team. So, you know what you have to some extent, and you're going to be able to tell really quickly if those guys have built on what they were doing the prior year. And then you got a guy who has not taken any snaps, barely. So, I don't know, man. I just think somebody needs to step up and separate themselves really quickly in this race. And it will give Hugh Freeze a lot of clarity about how aggressive you need to be in the second portal period.
I think it's going to be super interesting to see, though, how they manage that whole situation. Like, is he going to be actively... Because what we saw last spring was them, giving somebody first team reps and then they switch it up and they give the next person first. Like, are they going to rotate first team reps just like, okay, we're going to give everybody a shot at this? Or is he going to do some mind game stuff of like, hey, I'm going to put this guy who I actually expect to be number 1 and number 3 and just see how he handles it emotionally. It's going to be, because those are the things that you don't know, because I've never seen a Hugh Freeze spring practice. I don't know how he managed. So it's going to be interesting to see how people adjust to those sorts of things.
Yeah, for sure. Otis Smith comes back and says, fellas, what if, all caps, it's Hank freaking Brown? Just saying.
Listen, if he has the ability to be the starter out of the spring, then that says, I think, more about the other 3 guys than it does about Hank Brown. Because here's my thing. It's not that I don't think that you can be super talented, but he's not a guy that came in very heralded. And you have guys that have starters. Like in the spring, it shouldn't be him, right? Like maybe he works his way there in the fall, but I just don't want to start a true freshman game 1 for Auburn unless that offensive line looks amazing.
Yeah, true freshmen get eaten alive in our league, man. I'm with Ike. I think it says more about the other guys, unless everybody missed on every evaluation of Hank Brown ever, and he's the next coming.
Because listen, Trevor Lawrence came in with all the hype in the world, still didn't start game 1, right? Like there's a lot of things that have to happen for a true freshman to come in and his name not be Nick's and be granted the starting job day 1. As a freshman.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. Otis Smith comes back and says Cam Riley will have a breakout season. Or Mike, actually, you talked about him early this morning, right?
Did we? Yeah, we did.
Like, what? Wait.
Yeah, we did. I was like, which conversation with this? We have so many conversations. But yeah, I think that Cam Riley is going to be a dude.
So I see some people in the comments saying Hank Brown's not even going to be here this spring, so that's not a question. He won't even be there.
Okay,
cool. There you go.
Bye, Hank. Cam Riley's going to be a dude. He's going to be a dude. Ron Roberts talked about playing 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers with a edge hybrid guy who can get down in a 3-point stance when needed and bum rush the quarterback. So there's going to be some opportunities for linebackers. I think Cam Riley is going to be at the top. I'm really excited about Cam Riley, and I'm really excited about him being coached. I'll just leave it there.
He says Cam Riley reminds him of Josh Bynes.
That's not a bad comparison.
Yeah. Josh Bynes was a guy. He's still a guy.
Dude. He was a dude.
Yeah.
He was a dude. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Grab one here. It says Hot Dog Water says I want to see the offensive line hold its own against this monster defensive line.
But yeah, listen, man, iron sharpens iron. So being able to go ones versus ones at least for a little bit to see how your guys hold up is going to be super important. Now, we may not see that on A Day, but they should be doing it in practice. They got 15 practices and drills. We should be hearing about this. Ike and I will be at the open practices to the media to watch this, and we'll be able to report back about who's going up against who, at least for some portion of practice.
Got a few people filling in the blank here. James Moore says, if our QB play is up to par, I agree. We definitely want to see improved play there. Joey Kelsey says, if we limit injuries, that's also a very important one.
Yeah,
major key.
Definitely slow down the progress of installs because you're depending on certain people. For sure. Stuart Donald says, if we are on course to have a cohesive offensive line, kind of what I was hitting on there. Definitely making sure the guys we brought in, I want to see them, if they're as good as advertised, I want to see them along the front line and be cohesive as well. So I like that. Hot Dog Water says, if to have an offensive identity out of spring, in my opinion, we need a QB named by spring so they can build the scheme through the summer. He also says naming a QB at last minute ain't going to work.
Could. But again, ideally,
it's not ideal. But
let's be clear, right? When they name and when they decide, sometimes they're two totally different things. When we hear and what's going on behind the scenes, right?
Sure. How aggressively they pursue a quarterback in the portal after spring will tell us everything we need to know, whether they've named someone or not. They feel confident with. I think if they don't go and get someone out of the portal, they feel confident in 2 quarterbacks that are on the roster. Just having one guy that you're confident in is not going to be enough for them to not pursue someone in the portal, in my opinion, because injuries happen, right? You need 2 guys that you're confident in going into the fall to feel better as a coach, in my opinion. So them going after QB after spring doesn't mean that the starter is not on this roster. It means that they don't have a competent starter and a competent backup, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Corey Dubb says, calling it now, Amari Kelly breakout season. Corey said it first.
Hey, listen, nothing wrong with calling your shot, Corey.
Yeah.
I once called 5 shutouts. It didn't happen, but no wrong with calling the shot.
Hey, but you called Jarquez Hunter being a monster.
I did.
Panning out really well.
I did, right? I just didn't call all the dysfunction on offense that held him back from doing some of the things I thought he would do. But I knew Jarquez Hunter was going to be a dude. He was going to be a dude. He had that look in his eye.
He had a look in his eye?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Otis Smith says, I said it once, I'll say it again. Our tight end room is going to be nasty group of SOBs.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I would like to ask
that.
you. I'm in favor of it too. I'm just curious what they're going to do with all those guys, Ike. I really am, because again, this scheme, you're not seeing a lot of 12 and 22 personnel. So I'm curious how many guys is going to be able to get on the field.
Yeah, you're going to see two guys. Barring injury, there's only going to be two guys that are going to be playing at the tight end position for the vast majority of snaps this season. You're going to have a primary person, and then you're going to have somebody in for like sub-package stuff. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I'm always interested to see people who operate primarily out of shotgun, whether or not they have some sort of jumbo package thing that they're going to put in there. But even still, they're going to have Rivaldo Fairweather and somebody else. And that's really what you're going to see for the vast majority of the season, again, barring injury.
I mean, I see them potentially using a tight end guys at H-back for whatever some of the stuff that they do. But yeah, I agree. There's not going to be a lot of. I don't see a lot of opportunities for those guys to get on the field at one time.
Hugh Freeze produced the dude, the tight end. His name was Evan Ingram. So one of those guys could be a dude.
Yeah.
In the mold of Evan Ingram. So we'll see.
Yeah, but there wasn't name another tight end on that team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A singular dude, right?
There's going to be some competition this spring to see who's the dude.
Does Philip Montgomery add that wrinkle to what Hugh Freeze is doing? We don't know.
Philip Montgomery runs even less stuff. He runs more 4 receiver sets. So like when you get into Montgomery's system, you're taking it. There are unless they're changing philosophically what they've done for.
Right.
I watched 6 seasons of film on these guys. 6 seasons worth of stuff. 1 tight end, no tight end. Vast majority of the sets.
Sheesh. Hey, listen.
There's 2 tight end sets sometimes.
All right, chill out, man. We're trying to recruit tight ends.
I mean, if you're a dude,
you bugging up the rotation, man.
If you're a dude, you gonna come in and be the dude.
Oh, we gonna get no tight ends after I get.
Hey, listen. If you're a guy, you're gonna be that guy. It is what it is.
For sure. Listen, we definitely want to. You saw it on the bottom of the screen, guys. We want your opinion, even if you're watching after this live. What will make this spring practice a success in your opinion? What needs to happen? Also, we see your challenge, Jazzy. We'll get to that after the break here. But do us a favor as you're watching the Midweek Rapport. Share this content on social media. Smash the like button. Get the likes up, guys. Help us out with the YouTube algorithm. And please subscribe. Let's pause, pay some bills, and acknowledge our sponsors.
This edition of the War Report is made possible by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Athletic Architects. For young athletes looking to secure their financial future, let Athletic Architects help you to build your financial house. Head over to BuildTheHouse.com. And our giveaway sponsor, War Eagle Oil. War Eagle Oil is your #1 place for all of your motor oil and related products. For more information, visit wareagleoil.com.
Always thankful for the sponsors of the War Report. If you are a member, then you're kind of like a quasi-sponsor. You're helping keep this ship afloat, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Your $6 a month contribution may not seem a lot to you, and hopefully it never seems like a lot to you, so you'll continue to do it. But it means the world to us because that's how we continue to pay bills around here. And trust me, them bills are racking up over here at the War Report, man, because we got a lot of work that we are putting in, and we appreciate everybody who's doing that. If you are a member and you want to let somebody else get the joy of being a member of the War Report family, you can do that really easily by right now in the live chat from a desktop computer. Gifting a membership to somebody, first month will be on you. We're giving away stuff as always. Hashtag get your weight up in the live chat. We'll be giving that away here in about 15, 20 minutes. Sponsored by War Eagle Oil, but hashtag get your weight up right now to be able to get in on that. We mentioned it earlier. We've announced it on social media, but we did have the pleasure of sitting down with Coach Hugh Freeze to talk a little bit, and let's just give him a little taste of what that interview is, dropping tomorrow morning right here on the War Report. Yeah, Coach, you've got a daunting task in front of you to try to figure out how to get the program back to the place where you said that you feel like it can be.
Recruit. And you had 2.5 weeks to get the 23 class in the boat.
You're a man who owns 2 wins over Nick Saban, which is a short list. That's a short club. I don't know if you guys should have jackets or special medallions.
Yeah, I think we should. I think that's a good idea. We will never back down to saying we want an opportunity at the gold standard. And
can you talk a little bit about like the difference this time around with having so many dynamic coaches, specifically in the SEC West?
Everyone has a chance to win on a given Saturday because everyone has some players.
Coach, is Auburn a better program than Ole Miss?
I love my years at Ole Miss, so I'm thankful for the 5 years I had there.
What made you make the transition over from wanting to be a baseball player to being a football coach?
My two choices that I felt like I had were dairy farming or coaching.
Okay.
What?
I absolutely did not enjoy milking cows every morning, and I had to do it. It taught me a lot of great lessons.
Yes, indeed. Coach Hugh Freeze sat down with the War Report. That interview is dropping tomorrow morning right here on the channel. You guys make sure you stay locked in with us. Turn your notifications on so you know exactly when that's coming. And it's going to be a good conversation.
Indeed. Well, it's that time, guys. It's time for a challenge for one of our guys here.
Yeah. Welcome to another Jazzy challenge.
He says, location challenge, where am I for 150 for the state that borders? And don't talk ish about my video games.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. 3rd to 6th. He was somewhere where there was snow. Then he went dark on Twitter. I don't like when he does that. Sneaky. Says we ready. I think he is in North Carolina.
That's my answer. Okay. So
wow, I was gonna go the exact opposite side of the country. So this is gonna be interesting.
You go that way.
Yeah.
And I will go.
Where are you, Jazzy?
We'll go Kentucky.
I am gonna go. I think he's back in Arizona. Jazzy be in Arizona quite frequently.
He do be in Arizona. He do be zoning.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go Arizona.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay. All right. Let us know, Jazzy, for sure. Otis Smith comes back and says, I think our H-back will be Landon King.
Does he want to do that?
Listen, I haven't seen enough Landon King on a football field to know what Landon King's good at other than making ridiculous catches.
Yeah,
for sure. D-Lev says off topic, but everybody's banking on Georgia's three-peat, but they just hired Mike Bobo as offensive coordinator.
We're going to talk about this.
Yeah, we definitely are going to talk about this. It's coming up as a topic soon.
Yeah, but so Bobo?
Martavis 205 says, do you believe that we have enough offensive firepower to be a top 5 team this season?
Like in all of college football or the SEC?
That's going to be answered by two things: offensive line and quarterback. We got enough weapons.
Yeah, for sure.
Offensive line and quarterback.
Yep, and play calling.
For sure. Let's go ahead and shift gears, gentlemen. Let's go ahead and shift gears. Let's talk about basketball.
For sure. Okay, we can do that.
Auburn bounced back in a major way last night by putting them things to Missouri, 89-56. How do you guys feel about because again, I think the concern was about Missouri getting hot, but Auburn jumped up on them and got up early and stayed in control of this game. So thoughts about this game? I'll start with you. Ike.
Listen, we talked about it this morning. I think it was a solid strategy that they came in to say we're going to force them to take contested threes, run them off the 3-point line, and try to make our size be a factor inside, and it worked. They made Missouri uncomfortable and made them do things that they didn't want to do for the vast majority of the game. And then you got a monster first half from KD Johnson that allowed you to just capitalize on the fact that you already had an advantage on the inside, but then you got the outside shooting because Wendell Green wasn't doing anything offensively that entire game, right? Like he didn't give you anything. So you needed somebody to score from the outside. KD was able to provide that. Good defense, forcing turnovers early. I liked most of what I saw from the team, other than us giving the ball back to them in a couple of scenarios and just not being in a position, I think, to I'm interested to see what Janai Broom is that a serious injury? You know, he fell twice and looked like he was in some significant pain. That's going to be a big thing down the stretch because we're going to play teams that we're going to need Janai Broom for. But overall, good game from the team. It's a game that they needed to get their confidence back. Hopefully it doesn't tip over into overconfidence because you beat them so badly. Like you're like, oh, we back, baby. It's like, you're not quite back, but you at least, you know, in the neighborhood of where you need to be. So hopefully that can continue.
Mike, Auburn almost shot 50% from the field, 48.5%. Talk about the shooting. And again, they were 50% from 3-point, 9 of 18. Talk about what you saw last night in terms of shooting.
Well, listen, Auburn has won a majority of games that they've shot better than 45% from the field. It's when they go sub what does Ant-Man do when he shrinks really low? Right?
Subatomic.
They go subatomic scoring, and they have no shot. So when scoring is like regular, Auburn has a shot in most games. And I thought that they shot really well from the field. I thought they took smart shots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was the ball movement was good. And I'll tell you this too, Ike. You can tell me if I'm off base here. They looked confident taking smart shots.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Like not like a lot of hesitation that we've seen in previous games where it's just
Let
like
it fly.
Either you're unsure of whether you should shoot or you're overpassing the ball rather than taking a shot that's there. And the flow of the offense looked really, really good. Now, KD, you and I remarked about layup that KD had, that instead of just bulldozing his way to the rim, he actually finessed a shot that looked controlled and very un-KD-like.
Yeah.
Flanagan had a drive where he did the same essentially and got an and one. And Wendell Green did not hit a single field goal in his game. He was 0 for 4 from the field and probably played one of his most efficient games that we've seen him play. 9 assists, 0 turnovers.
Yeah.
When your point guard has 0 turnovers, he's having a pretty good game. If he's actually on the court. So 0 turnovers I thought was great. And you didn't really feel it. You didn't feel his 0 for 4. But
yeah.
He was facilitating, and it didn't feel like he was having an 0 for 4 game. I was shocked to look at the stat sheet and say, he didn't hit a shot?
Yeah.
Now, 4 or 5 points because he got to the free throw line.
Sure.
But, my point stands. This was a great game for Auburn. It was one of their best games offensively of the year. Now, let's be clear. Missouri is one of, you buy the metrics, they're a really good offensive team. So holding them to 18 points was something special. Conversely, they are one of the worst rebounding teams in the NCAA, and it showed.
Right.
Bruce Pearl noted in the postgame presser that they knew they had an advantage at the 5, and they exploited it all night. Now, against Bama, Broom was 3 for 11, I think, from the field. He had a rough game. Against Missouri, he was 8 for 13 and led all scorers. And for a team that needs to find scoring, but struggles shooting it with their mid-range and three-point shooting, having Broom score is going to be important, I think, moving forward for this team. Yeah. Now, I kind of noted it was, against Bama, it's not he had a terrible game. It was a lot of shots that were good shots that just weren't falling.
Yeah.
They were bouncing around, and it was unlucky. It felt unlucky. Those shots were falling for him versus Missouri. And he was aggressive. And, in the post game, we asked about his health. He said, I'm going to be okay. Now, you might feel okay now, but we'll see how he feels,
right.
In a couple of days. But, he seemed ready to go. He was sitting there with KD, and they were all smiles. They were all smiles.
Too if I had just beat down a team like they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
He wasn't talking like a guy who was hurt. He was talking like a guy who was ready to get back on the court and try to replicate what they did against Missouri again versus Vanderbilt. So, offensively, it was good. Defensively, they exploited a weakness that was clear on Missouri's side, which I was happy to see them do, right? They were plus 22 rebounding versus Missouri. And I don't know many teams who can get out-rebounded by that margin and win a game. But most importantly, offensively, they shut the door on Missouri early.
Yeah.
Right? They went up double digits, and it was not in question the entirety of the rest of the game once they went up.
Right.
And that is something that Auburn has done poorly, I think, this season offensively, whether it's them just changing what they do or just kind of getting out of the rhythm that they created, or the refs changing the game somehow with the way they're blowing whistles. But it was even. Auburn shot 20 free throws, and they shot 18.
Yeah. And
the free throw, the foul disparity, it was almost even. So, I think Auburn shot 2 more free throws, but only hit 1 more free throw than they did. It was just a non-factor in the game. The whistles were even. Home court advantage. The student section was amazing, right, Caesar? The student section was going nuts every time there was a foul call on Auburn, and they were up 30.
Yeah.
They were just letting them have it. This is one of the greatest home court advantages in sports. They took advantage of it. They did what they needed to do. And in the post game, we talked about Hugh Freeze. Listen, man, Bruce Pearl is tired. And he said, this team is tired.
Yeah.
He stressed it. He was like, these guys are tired, man. Like, this has been a brutal stretch for us, and we got to find a way to get through it. I think what they need to do is they need to find a way offensively to replicate what they did and close the season strong so that the SEC tournament becomes a non-factor for them in terms of where making the tournament at all or where they place.
Yep.
Right.
Because I'll tell you what, I don't know if they give a damn whether they win that tournament or not, as long as they make the NCAA tournament. They might actually welcome the rest. They might like, hey, let's lose the first one, man, and just rest. So if they need the games, they need them. But I think based on what I heard from him and how these guys look, they might actually welcome the rest. So close the season strong, man. Keep that going. Find a way to keep what you did going. Now, listen, you're not going to out-rebound every team by 22 points.
Right.
But it does make me feel a little bit more confident that they can get Vandy and get Ole Miss with little drama. And then try to get one of these last 3 versus Kentucky, Alabama, and Tennessee. Preferably Bama. Go on the road and beat the number 1 team in the country, and we can just stop all this talk about whether Auburn's making the tournament or not.
Yeah, I mean, if things continue how they are right now with Tennessee, Bama might not be number 1 for long.
Right. Right. I think it's with 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
A little 3 minutes. So
we'll definitely close them out.
We'll keep an eye on that.
Jazzy
says almost to Arizona. I'm in California.
Hey, in Cali. What part of Cali you in, Jazzy? You in San Diego? Are you in San Diego? Oh, Wales, Virginia.
Oda Smith says 2024 Auburn will be in the first 12-team playoff.
Hey,
this isn't a Monty Smoot comment right here.
I don't know. I don't think that's.
It's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched.
It's 12-team playoff for Brother Hugh has preached. He turns programs around quickly. Being top 12 in the country should not be a stretch. Not in the SEC, it shouldn't be. And you have an opportunity.
You win 10 games, you'll be on the doorstep of that.
For sure.
Agreed.
For sure.
Agreed.
So we want to see it. We want to see this. This is what we're here for.
I'm interested to see what our schedule looks like too for 2024.
Mm-hmm.
That's something to keep note of as well.
Mm-hmm.
Paul says, I'm telling y'all, if KD and Wendell Green are having a good shooting night and we are actually playing defense, there's no team we can't beat.
Okay, great.
I said this morning, actually, but continue, Mike.
Pause, right? And this is the question I'm posing to Ike. Did last night prove that we don't need Wendell Green to have a good shooting night to win? Right. Is there a different formula to winning than him jacking up a bunch of shots?
It is.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
I think Wendell would have shot more if the game were closer, though. If it had been a tighter contest, he'd have been looking for his shot a little bit more. And so you need him to be able to go get that and be able to shoot well. I don't think he needs to shoot a high volume. I just think he needs to be efficient. And I think the name of the game for both he and KD. It's not the volume of shots you take, it's the quality of shots. And this is something that you remarked on, Mike. It's not really about how many shots you take. We only took what 18 3-pointers last night.
Correct.
We weren't fogging it up from three. We were just taking good threes and making them. That's the kind of effort you need out of this Auburn basketball team. We don't need 33 pointers jacked up in the game and we hit 20 of them. No.
Right.
Under 23 shot, but you shoot 40% of those and go in. That team can win a lot of games because we can play so well from two, because you've got Jalen Williams, because you've got Janai Broome on this team. And as much as people lament missing Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith weren't taking a lot of 2-point shots that they were making. They were getting them on the boards and stuff like that. And Jabari was very good at the medium range. But what Jalen Williams and Janai Broome bring you are people who you can give it to, and they have back to the basket post stuff, and they can do a little bit. They're a little bit more of the post up players that you need to be able to get. Slow the tempo down, which is what Bruce Pearl has been wanting to do more this season, not running up and down the floor. We're going to slow it down. We're going to play really hard defense, and then we're going to grind this game away from you, right? But you got to have post players to do that. Otherwise, you need to be able to score in high volume.
Which means you got to feed Janai.
Yeah, I think that if we get to a place where we're getting efficient play from those two players, I don't know how you beat a team that can play that well from two and your guards are playing that well. That's a difficult team to beat when you play defense as well as we do night in and night out.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree with that. Jazzy Joe says, real quick, everyone cross your fingers that Tennessee holds on to beat the
We are watching.
Little over 2 minutes left now, up 6. So Bama's in striking distance, but that's
striking distance.
Yeah. So we'll see. We will definitely see what they do. We'll keep an eye on that. Peepaw says, do you of Tennessee fans take the baskets and take them to the river too after a big win? Great post.
So I actually had not thought about the animosity that probably still exists for Bama fans with Tennessee winning the football game this season. But Bama fans might be down bad if they lose this game because they were on a high from being the number one team in the country for the first time since some of them were born. The vast majority of them were born, but definitely before the vast majority of them started watching basketball because they're not real basketball fans. And then the thing that they glory in the most and they hadn't ever seen in most of their lifetimes, they lost to Tennessee. Losing to Tennessee as well in basketball, it might be a bad situation.
Yeah.
This would be awesome too, because that means they didn't get to keep their number one ranking potentially
very long.
Very long. Hold it through a tip off.
Yeah. So I mean, when we beat Bama, we know to protect our trees. I'm not sure what's important to Tennessee, but whatever that thing is that you hold sacred, watch it. Higher security.
They sent it out of town.
I don't believe in jinxing's contrarian. Either you're gonna win the game or you're not.
Yeah,
he said don't jinx them. I don't believe it. Listen, if they're gonna win the game, they're gonna win. Ain't got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Y'all go hoop. They can't hear me.
Guys,
don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Hey, listen, I got nothing to do with that, bro. I wish both of them could lose if I'm telling them, I'm being honest.
Now that's the Ike I know.
Yeah.
That's the Ike I know.
That's right. There are no winners. Nobody wins. Everybody loses.
If it ends in a tie and both of you lose somehow, then I'm fine with that.
Absolutely. Giveaway time, guys. Giveaway time. We are giving away a War Rapport mug, courtesy of War Eagle Oil. Please drop the hashtag if you haven't already. If you haven't already, maybe next time because we're drawing now.
Yep, let's get to it. Only 32 entries today. Woo.
Man.
Somebody has got very good odds of winning this here mug that has never won before. Today, it shall be Leah Stottle. That is definitely a name that I do not recall giving away something to. So, Leah Stottle, if you're still here, holla at your boy.
Let us know if you are here, sir.
This is absolutely what I want. 3 overtime. Yes, please let this game go to like quadruple overtime and everybody is exhausted at the end of this game. I need both Bama and Tennessee to play quadruple overtime games, the game right before they play us. And I'll be very happy about that. And Leostado is here.
He is here. Congratulations, sir. What we need for you to do is email us business@the Report. We need your name as well as your physical address, and that mug will be coming your way. According to Mike G, it's the cup of greatness. I can attest to that. It's a great mug. Congratulations, sir. Grab some more comments here. Martavius 205 says, if Wendell plays like he did against Mizzou with no turnovers, can we beat the University of Tuscaloosa in the next meeting?
Yes.
Yeah,
we can. So the difference in the proposition of beating them in their house is going to come down to rebounding, I think. Bama can shoot from three again. I think they're going to have a very similar strategy to say, we're not going to let you guys get a bunch of uncontested threes and run us out of the building. You're going to have to make tough twos. They just need to defend those straight line drives a little bit better at the guard position. But if we're going to have a game where the guy who handles the ball the most doesn't turn the ball over, yeah, you've got an opportunity to win that basketball game for sure.
Yeah. And so that we're clear, going into Tuscaloosa, it's, when you go on the road, it's important to note that going into Tuscaloosa is one of the least intimidating things in basketball, right? Coleman Coliseum is not scary at all.
It's only unfair. It's only like a thing that if you're a fan of the other team, maybe that's scary for you, but for the players, whatever.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not a very intimidating environment. I mean, most of their basketball fans became fans like 3 years ago.
They hate when we say that, but that is the absolute truth. Like, y'all got to calm down. Like, most of you don't even know who freaking Antonio McDyess is, right? Like, you can't name. Like, I'm being for real though. Like, you don't know these guys. The only reason that name even sounds familiar to you is because you Googled it right after I said it. You're like, oh shoot.
Oh yeah, I know who he is, right?
Antonio McDyess. He played for our team.
So I saw him on ESPN once.
I mean, I'm an actual basketball fan. You can't. I know by how you talk about basketball whether you've been watching basketball, and you talk about basketball like an idiot. And so, therefore, you can't sell me on, I've been a fan. No, you haven't.
Talking about basketball, that is when you figure out they sound like idiots?
Well, I'm just saying about their basketball acumen.
Oh, okay.
When I say, I'm like, you ain't no basketball fan, right? Like, you have some very stupid takes.
There's other giveaways, too, but I'm with you.
Coleman Coliseum, right? I know they were having some trouble getting a new arena built there. Like, there was some money issues and there were some political issues. I just think the people in charge were like, is this money well spent? Like, we don't really care about this shit. So, Auburn can go in there and win. That's what I'm saying. Auburn can go in.
I said that to say Auburn can win there.
Auburn can win that there. I mean, it's not a daunting task, right?
People ask, and this is a good question, should we wear 4th and Kiffin t-shirts at the Ole Miss basketball game?
I wouldn't be mad at seeing this happen, actually. I would not be mad at seeing
Order them now.
I'm with that. I'm with that. That's a good idea. Don Cullen says Dylan had a great game.
Thoughts
on that?
Yeah.
I think he played like he played the kind of game you need from Dylan Cardwell, right? Like he was in there controlling the glass,
got a
second
few
chance
blocks.
opportunities, right? Controlling the paint on the defensive end, ruffling some feathers, getting physical. That's the kind of game you need from Dylan Cardwell. You don't need a bunch of points. I wish he was a little better offensively. I mean, he never takes very many shots that are further than 5 feet from the rim. I think he should shoot a little bit better percentage on non-dunks than he does. Like, even some of the layups, he's missing some of those. I wish that was a thing for him. But yeah, you can't ask for a much more from Dylan Cardwell than what you got from him this game.
Stark Bice says, when you look at all the teams that make a big run in the tournament, they can all shoot the 3-point shot, and we can't. So I'm scared for March. Thoughts, guys?
Yeah, like listen, man, run them off the 3-point line.
Exactly.
And make them play your type of game. I mean, that's it.
Or they're going to be shooting from 4 feet beyond, right? Like, it's great.
Yeah.
Like, if you want it, but the thing about good defensive team, and I've literally been saying this for a few months now. If you're a good defensive team, you can be in just about any contest that you're in, because the thing that they do really well, unless they're proficient at both of them, unless they're good from 2 and 3, take away the thing that they do well. Great. You shoot threes really well. Unless you're the freaking Golden State Warriors, you're not shooting threes tonight. Every three you shoot is going to be contested. If you have open ones, good luck. Hopefully you have lost your confidence by the time you see an open look.
You can take the 3, right? But it doesn't mean they're going to be good shots, right? Like,
right.
They're not being good shots. Bama is definitely going to lose this game.
We switch way too much on the perimeter, and we make it difficult for you to get quality looks at 3. We just do. And we've gotten better and better at that as the season progressed, because there were points in the season where we were giving up a lot of. They've just gotten more comfortable with the defensive style. They've switched a lot better. The only person who I think did not do a great job of that, I just gave him a compliment. Now I'm about to say something negative about him, but Dylan Cardwell probably is the only guy who didn't defend his guy at the 3-point line really well. He still was kind of,
he plays off.
Yeah, he was still kind of sinking back into the lane, because that's just what he naturally does. But I mean, when you've got 4 of 5 guys that are just like, no, you're not shooting perimeter shots, and we're going to funnel you in here to the lane, then all you need is your rim protectors to. You don't have to block everything, but just be a presence in there and don't let them get freebies.
Yeah,
and we did a much better job of that last night against Missouri. They frustrated the heck out of everybody on that team. Missouri is a team that routinely takes bad shots, but they make bad shots a lot.
Yeah.
So last night they just weren't making the bad shots that they can make. But that's what you want them to do. Force them to take all the bad shots that they normally make, and put a little bit more pressure on them to do it.
Blake Robinson is as petty as me. Bama's time as #1 is over as soon as it started, which makes me smile a little bit. Makes me smile too, Blake.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Again, I think the difference, like, I know Bama is about to lose their first SEC game, but I think the difference between 1 and 5 in the league right now is razor thin. Yeah. In terms of,
I'm going to say something that's a little controversial right now.
Okay, hot takes.
All right.
Put it on the griddle.
Big screen? Texas A&M. No, I think Texas A&M is the best team in the conference right now, top to bottom.
Okay. All right.
I do. I think that they play defense better. They play defense well enough. They're not the best defensive team in the conference. I still think Tennessee's the best defensive team in the conference, followed by us and Mississippi State at close number 2. But Texas A&M is right there in the top 5 defensively, and they can shoot the ball really well. So from top to bottom in totality, I think Texas A&M's the best team in the conference. Bama has played the best, but I think Texas A&M's a better team than them. I just do. And they have a better coach, because I don't think Nate Oates is a particularly great coach.
Yeah.
I think he's okay. Let me not act like Nate Oates is a terrible coach. I just don't think Nate Oates is great.
Yeah. He wears stupid jackets. I like his Blazer game. I don't like his Blazer game.
What do you feel about Buzz's Blazer game? Texas A&M's coach.
Yeah, equally as
Busby kind of.
I think Buzz is sharp because he does. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, no, I like the
best
look. I like the best look.
He is like, he's definitely like a heel wrestler though. Like, he's that guy who, like, it comes to the wrestling match with the tie and suit and tie on or whatever, and he talks a bunch of junk. Like, he's that guy. And so it's just annoying. It's like, why are you
somebody in the crowd in Tennessee holding up a sign that says "just like football"?
Yes.
Nice.
I applaud the petty. Now, Tennessee, you might have one of the weirdest home court environments I've ever walked into, but I applaud your petty.
Yeah, and Rocky Top is probably one of the most annoying songs ever.
I like this. Nate Oates shops with Dabo. I like that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Does Dabo shop anywhere besides like the church bookstore? I don't know what.
I was about to say. I think Nate Oates goes to Dabo's Bible study. I think that's what. I think
we lost to Tennessee by like what, like a point or something, like
3 points.
3 points.
3 points essentially.
Yeah, because that 3-pointer that would have been a tie. Yeah. It's 3
Okay, got it. Right. Yeah, and then we lost to Bama by 8.
Mm-hmm.
They lose They lose to Tennessee by 9. I just don't think there's much difference between a lot of the teams in this conference right now.
We 100% should have won the Tennessee game. We had that Bama game for the vast majority of that game. So, like, to your point, we're not so far out of reach of these other teams. We just need to be a little bit more efficient in how we're doing on the offensive end.
That was Bruce Pearl's point, right? When he talked about net, he was like, we're not really dropping in the net because there are no blowouts. We're not getting run off the court by anybody.
Right.
And I think that was, astutely noted by him, that they're close, but they got to start putting W's on the board so that whether or not they make the tournament or not is not a question down the stretch here. But I just don't know that I'm looking at impressive basketball. I think what Bama has done this year is impressive for them, right? Certainly. But
they're a better team this year. And I've been saying this for them. Bama's actually a good basketball team this year. I'm not taking anything away from them. They can play back. Last year, I didn't think they were very good.
Yeah.
Last year, I think they were ridiculously overhyped. But this year, I think that they're actually a good basketball team. The problem with this Bama team is always going to be turnovers. If they get frustrated, they start taking bad shots, turning the ball over. And if you can get them into that game, then they're going to be beatable. Yeah, listen, they got smacked by. When I saw Oklahoma smack them, I was like, okay, yeah, they're human.
Yeah, they're human, right? But something about teams that live on 3-pointers, man, it just, again, you have an off shooting night and a team just quietly goes about their business.
Leostato said the Tennessee players are out there.
A few people said they crane kicking out there.
Listen, hey, slow down. That's our mocking thing. Don't do that. Don't do that.
They're crane kicking. Interesting. Did a fight break out? I don't think a fight broke out. I'm all about that. So Bama shot 37% from 3 tonight. 9 of 24.
That's a respectable.
That's a respectable number.
That's decent.
I mean, that's why I like to see Auburn.
Especially depending on how many threes they made.
19 turnovers. That's exactly what I mean right there. Jay Conwell says 19 turnovers.
They won the rebounding battle by 4, so it was pretty even. And the foul calls, there was no huge disparity, right? Tennessee shot 25 free throws. They shot 20. They hit 80% of theirs, and Tennessee only hit 64. Now, let me tell you something. That's exactly what I was about Texas A&M, right? About percentages holding. We were like 60-something% from the free throw line. They just shot way more. If you put them closer together, Auburn wins that game.
Yep.
So man, I'm telling you, I didn't see anything amazing. It doesn't look like Tennessee was 6 of 23 from 3 tonight.
Tennessee's not a good offensive team. They just haven't been the entire season. I don't think that they played a single game where they've played great offensively. They're
19 turnovers to 8. Yikes. Is that where they lost the game?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I would go with that.
That's where they lost the game, right? Quinterly had 6 turnovers himself. And wow. Down goes Bama. All right, cool.
Good night. Good night, gentlemen. Great night.
I'm cool with it.
Good talks tonight, guys. Ike, tell the people what they need to be doing, sir.
Hit the join button, like right now. Post haste immediately. Hit that join button so that you can be a part of the greatest community to ever grace the internet, which is the War Report family, man. We appreciate everybody who has come on board as members. We want more of you to do that. Again, that's a big part of what allows us to continue doing what we're doing is the monthly support of people like you doing that. And we appreciate it. Membership gifting can happen right now from the live chat. Let someone else be a part of the dream team that is the War Report family by gifting them a membership if you already have done that. We are the Auburn Express on all of our podcast platforms. Make sure you're listening to us on the Auburn Express. We got some great content that we're dropping over there that is audio only. If you didn't get an opportunity to win something tonight, you can go ahead and purchase something from our merch store, thewarreport.com. We have that. I saw my guy Elliot out here in the comment section once again. Tonight, he's writing articles for our website now. So we've got a lot of written content that we're going to be slapping up there. B Will's doing that. I'm jumping in, writing some articles. So we're getting stuff out there for you guys. So make sure you head over to thewarreport.com to check that out. And tomorrow, Coach Hugh Freeze, that interview drops tomorrow morning. You guys make sure that you check that out. Get your notification bells on so you can be in there when that is happening. And we appreciate you guys for continuing to support in all of the ways that you do.
Guys, continue to support us by sharing this content, guys, on social media.
Yeah.
Please be sure to get the word out. Let people know. Find us. Find our content. Help us to grow. Help us with the YouTube algorithm, guys. Smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I mentioned social media. You can find us Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at The War Rapport. That's it for now, guys. We'll definitely catch y'all Friday, right? We're doing a morning drop on Friday. That's the next one.
Yes.
Morning drop on Friday. We will see you then, but great content tomorrow with the Hugh Freeze interview. Go check that out. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.